Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you're finding yourselves. I am so happy to have you here with me. Let's get started with today's topic. We're going to dive a little bit into transforming core soul and childhood wounds as well. This is something that has been speaking to me very deeply lately this year, and that is a calling to do more inner child work. Something that I see that we do lately in today's day and age is we're constantly working on symptoms. We're constantly working on the expression of trauma and stress and things that are taking place in our lives, rather than looking at what could be the root cause and source of it. The thing is, I notice and see that so many people, they don't want to even look at their childhood. I mean, they don't even remember half of their childhood. And that's understandable. A lot of things can happen. A lot of stress can take place. We often go into a freeze response, go to dissociative states. There can be so many reasons as to why we don't necessarily remember what had happened. It's not so sore really about what had happened, but what had happened and how it makes us feel. That's often where I notice and see the greatest and biggest block is in people. And so I was wondering and thinking, and even for myself, like, I mean, I get it. And I was wondering, even for myself, how can we dive into such an important and crucial stage of our development and do it in a very gentle, in a very graceful way, in a way that is not traumatic, in a way that is impactful, in a way that is profound as well, and in a way that can really, truly, deeply foster healing. Because this is something that I'm deeply passionate about. As most of you know, in my work for Metaphysical Anatomy, that big book that I wrote, where I interviewed 6,500 people, and the psychosomatic stress of that challenge that they had in their life as well. This is something that I really would like to expand on, because as adults, we don't really want to look at the inner child, because we don't see the importance of that. Because the first 7 to 9 years, that's the imprint, the layering in stages where we store trauma, where we feel so much, and we being programmed with so much. And all these life events, all these interactions become the core foundation, the library by which our mind, the subconscious mind, goes and retrieves memories from, to help us to associate with life and to cope with problems, to cope with challenges. Of course, we continue to have more learned behavioral responses after that. But the main core foundation starts when we are a child. And so I ask myself the question, how can we address inner child gracefully in a non traumatic way? How can we address the inner child? And what do we do if we don't remember what had happened? The beautiful thing about integrative soulful therapy is that we don't need to know specific memories. We don't need to go and look at what is the pain point, what is it that happened to me. That's the beautiful thing about it. Because what I learned over the years, and with all the healing work that I've done and the thousands of people that I've worked with, I have come to learn that we don't have to feel the pain to heal it. We don't have to know logistics and specifics to heal it. But what was challenging is, how do we go back into the state of being a child in our inner child? Because that was the state that we were in, was a state of programming. We were in a theta brainwave programming state. How do we get back into that state? How do we get back into the theta state and deprogram the inner child's mind in a non-traumatic way? And then on top of that, what do we do if we don't have clear memories? This is where integrative soulful therapy that I design is incredibly powerful. And this is where we go back into that first 7 year period, and we move into the theta state, and we go back into that program state, and we deprogram the subconscious mind using our soul's counsel, gentle meditation, and gentle hypnosis as well. So, what we can do is we can stay in a stabilized state and powerfully heal our core wounds in a way that feels like it's just a normal activity, which is how healing work really truly should be. So when we look at understanding also soul core healing, because I kind of blend soul core healing and inner child work all together, because whatever soul core wounds we have, that is going to make the inner child more susceptible to experiencing traumas and being more sensitive to certain life experiences compared to other children before the age of 7. Now that's really interesting. So this is where the fundamental point, where it's so incredibly important, is to be able to to go back to that time and to shift that, but to shift it gracefully and to shift it gently as well. So when we look at soul core healing, this is a very beautiful therapeutic approach that helps us to gently target the deepest layers of emotional injustices, where boundaries were crossed, where there was neglect, emotional neglect, maybe there was abuse. And this is all deeply, intricately linked to our core essence or our soul that can be carried over from different lifetimes, especially if we don't master or complete or fully heal these wounds. They can keep coming back. So, when we look at the role of inner child work and the healing of that, this is a very integral part of soul work as well. You see, so inner child and soul core work for me goes hand in hand. And it deeply involves practicing and connecting with the inner child and really diving into parts that may have been ignored, that may have been suppressed or unacknowledged because maybe we had parents that were emotionally unavailable. It could be that also that there was abuse. So the healing process in this approach is typically normally begins with identifying trigger points or emotional blocks that is stopping you from really fully learning to embrace feeling free. If I have to ask you as well, do you feel safe feeling safe? There's a very high chance that a lot of you might say no. And a lot of you might say, well, God, I never thought about that, but the answer is probably no. And the reason for that is because before the age of 3, we also are hardwired on soul instinctive responses. Our nervous system is in full control, right? So our limbic system is still developing, to process emotions, to be able to rationalize. All that is still in its developmental stages. So our nervous system, the emotional body, is recording everything. So if you don't feel safe in your life, if you feel unsettled, you feel anxious and you can't find your place, and you feel like you're always hyper vigilant, and it doesn't matter how much work you do, you can't find the core cause of it. Well, maybe it's because there's not necessarily an emotional memory for that. There's a body memory for that. And that's through the nervous system. And that means it could be that there was a lot of trauma that maybe took place before the age of 3, before the age where you could really properly recall proper and clear memories. But the beauty of integrative soulful therapy is that you don't even need to know the accurate memories. That's what's really beautiful about that. Because sometimes even reliving or going back to a certain memory, that in itself can create and cause a whole new trauma. So it's important for me to create sessions, to create a therapy that is so graceful, that is so gentle, that is soft, and really truly helps you to get to where it is that you want to be. And what I love about it as well is that we bring a spiritual side into this. We bring the spirit in. We work with our spirit guides. We work with our soul counsel. We also work with our higher self. So there's also like a touch of timeline therapy in it as well, because we are going to work with our future self to bring in resources that we didn't necessarily have at the time of the trauma, to really truly help us to bring and elevate us into a place and into a state of extreme, powerful resilience. So the stronger and more healed your inner child is, the stronger that reflection is going to have a ripple effect into you as an adult in the here and now. So, what will this work do? It's going to elicit behavioral changes, but in a very positive way, because it's going to help you to break free from destructive patterns that was formed at an age that you probably don't even remember. And you're going to address the root causes of it in a very graceful way. It's going to help you to improve your relationships. It's going to help you to heal old wounds. And this now can also then lead to healthier and more fulfilling relationships as people learn, how to communicate maybe in a healthier way, how to have boundaries in a healthier way as well. And what my most favorite part is increase self awareness. Because awareness of a problem, awareness of challenges, is problems and challenges half solved. The other half is now just stepping up and finding the correct tools that you can apply to correct or to bring change or to bring balance into this again. It also brings a renewed sense of freedom, right? So, by resolving these conflicts and by healing the inner child, you can really truly start to understand the definition of freedom. No longer waiting for someone to give you permission to do something. Not that you're consciously aware of it, but this feeling of procrastination, that's the freeze response. That is actually the nervous system not feeling safe to take action. It's in hibernation state because it's trying to hide, it's trying to be safe. Because maybe you're not as maybe whatever it is that you want to do, maybe you don't associate feeling safe, and it's triggering these feelings of feeling unsafe. But remember also, when we look at soul work, when we look at inner child work, we also have karma, we also have free will. Now, these are really big words. And this is, and of course, it plays a very big role as well. Because free will and karmic lessons, this always said something, someone asked me, well, Evette, well, what if it's my karma to overcome this childhood abuse? Well, okay, that's great. We can overcome it, but why does it have to be hard? What if that fact that it has to be painful and hard is just a belief? Why do we have all these healing abilities and all these healing capacities to relieve ourselves from trauma and distress and to move on with our lives and to be really, truly happy? If part of our karma was to not have these talents or to not have access to it, well, that's probably now another story, but that's not the case because these healing abilities and capacities are completely natural. We just need to relearn how to apply this, how to take steps into bringing this into our lives again, how to open up these beautiful talents. That's all that it is. It's really, truly just relearning. You don't need to learn anything new. It's just reminders that needs to take place. And so when we look also at these different concepts in these different ways, it helps us to navigate through life more consciously. So it's so powerful to unpack all these ideas and understand how they play such a crucial and important role in our spiritual everyday lives. Because free will also is essentially our ability to make choices freely, right? Choices about how we live, who we surround ourselves with, and also how we shape our lives. It's about having the autonomy and then to decide our paths without being predetermined by our past or external circumstances. So, this freedom, I can tell you, it's so integral to our growth and it is part of everyone's soul contract, including mine. Now, free will isn't just about making any choice. It's about making informed and conscious decisions that aligns with your soul's growth, that aligns with the inner child's growth to help you to live your life to its optimal state, to really step into your greatness. And it involves also understanding lessons that we face and struggles that we undergo, and also how we actually react to life's challenges, right? So often we find ourselves in situations that maybe it's not ideal. Maybe we're not happy, we're not fulfilled, or feeling that we're living up to our potential. That's where free will comes in. It allows us to decide how to move forward, shaping our lives in ways that really truly can lead to fulfillment and growth. And this decision making, this really, it can be influenced by our karmic lessons. And these lessons we need to learn to evolve spiritually and emotionally. But bringing this back to what I said earlier, This can be done gracefully. This can be done gently. It doesn't have to be traumatic, right? So whether it's choosing to stay positive in difficult times, finding natural ways to maintain your health, or deciding maybe to pursue a new career path, each decision that we make, it can be a reflection of our free will in action. But that free will can also be aligned to support you and to help you to achieve your goals that you chose to master in this lifetime. And that is what I love so much about integrative soulful therapy, because it really truly brings the healing principles of healing as a human being in the physical form in the here and now. It brings in the spiritual principles of the spiritual side, the soulful side of ourselves as well. And then it also is connected to our future, where we can bring future resources into the here and now to really truly help us to tap into our fullest capacity. It's like laying down that path so clearly that you can't be swayed from it anymore, and you can walk that path confidently. I would love to talk you through a healing meditation. So when you are ready, let's take a nice deep breath and start our healing meditation. And just give yourself a nice big sigh. Let's just do that one more time. It's Monday. Nice deep breath. Very good. Very good. And now, let's start by just focusing on your breath. Just as you're inhaling and exhaling. And notice as you're breathing, see if you can become aware of your heartbeat. See if you can become so present in your body that you can feel your heart beat. And now, I invite you to hear, feel, see, or sense yourself in an open space. And as you're finding yourself in that open space, notice how there's this big waterfall. And this waterfall is a healing waterfall that is now having and holding healing properties. And stepping underneath that waterfall, allowing that water to flow through every single cell in your body, from your head down out your feet, soothing you, healing you. Releasing maybe pain, stress, anxiety, maybe discomfort that you have in your body. Just releasing all these stress points now. And also maybe releasing other people's stress that you might have taken on. And now, I invite you to continue to find yourself in that open space. And as you do, notice now how this space is starting to feel lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And the lighter it feels, the more you also start to feel lighter. It's almost like you're expanding. And notice, as you're standing there, far in the distance is this little child coming towards you. And it's you. Anywhere from the age of 7 or younger. And noticing, as you're observing and looking at your younger self, immediately what comes to mind? What does she or he need right now? What does she or he need right now? And whatever the answer is, now in that same moment, calling forward your spirit counsel, calling forward your higher self, and calling forward your future self. And notice how you are all standing in this supportive circle, kneeling down so that you're eye level with your inner child. And hear, feel, see, or sense as all these powerful forces coming together, bringing down this healing beam of light through the inner child now, giving him or her exactly what they need right now. Feeling, witnessing, and observing how every single cell in that little inner child's body is just soaking up and being ignited in such a positive, powerful, invigorating way. Absorbing this healing, receiving it, accepting it from all these sources that have that little child's best interest at heart, with sincere intentions to support, heal, and help. And as you're witnessing that healing, noticing and feeling how you yourself are healing in that moment now. Very good. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Exhale. Very good. And now, I invite you to take that inner child, take his or her hand in your hand, give them a very big hug, and allow them also to integrate with you right now, because it is a part of you after all. Integrating that healed part within every single cell in your body right now. Very good. And when you are ready, slowly bringing your awareness back into the here and now, letting go of all the visualizations and images. Bringing your full focus and awareness to the bottom of your feet. Feeling how it is grounding you and supporting you now. And slowly and gently start to come back. Very good. And welcome back. Well done. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It was an absolute pleasure to host this webinar for you and to talk you through this. And until next time, everyone, I love you guys. Big hugs. Bye.